Hello everyone, welcome to the ECG Simplified Medical Study series of my YouTube channel Medical Study. This is lecture 8 of my ECG series, and today's lecture is about the conduction defects, and one of the most common conduction defects is bundle branch block. So let us start with the bundle branch block, and before moving further we need to know what actually is the bundle branch. Now this is the heart. The conducting system of the heart starts from SA node to AV node to bundle of His, and then bundle of His divides into two branches, the left branch and the right branch. The left further divides into posterior branch and anterior branch. So these are the branches which are known as bundle branches. So left bundle branch, right bundle branch, the left posterior fascicle or branch, and left anterior fascicle or branch. And further the conduction or wave excitation moves from left bundle branch to the right bundle branch, and then the left ventricle is excited first and then the right ventricle is excited first. So on basis of this, the ECG pattern comes out in V1 to V6 is R wave progression. In V1 we have more negative, and V6 we have more positive ECG. Small R wave and bigger S wave, a bigger R wave and less S wave. So there is a R wave progression in V1 to V6. And always remember, whenever there is a ventricular abnormality, the QRS pattern becomes abnormal. So if you find out an abnormality in QRS pattern, just take a note, there must be a ventricular excitation abnormality. So first is right bundle branch block. Remember a mnemonic R to RS or R. So first is right bundle branch block. Remember a mnemonic, right bundle branch, RSR pattern. So here you will be seeing the RSR pattern. So we will be seeing the V1 and V6 patterns of ECG in cases of bundle branch blocks. In V1 you will be seeing RSR pattern. Sometimes there is no S wave but a notched R wave. So the pattern will be something like this. You can see this RSR pattern or RSR dash pattern. And here you are seeing the S wave is not coming down. Here we have the R smaller S which is above the baseline and R dash. So these are the two patterns which you can see in V1. And in V6 we will be seeing wide S wave. And remember, the QRS will widen in case of right bundle branch block. The third thing, T wave inversion in right side leads, right chest leads, V1, V2 and V3. And it can be divided into complete right bundle branch block and incomplete right bundle branch block. So along with these V1 and V6 patterns, we will be seeing in complete right bundle branch block QRS will be more than 0.12 second, and in incomplete right bundle branch block QRS will be 0.1 to 0.12 second. And with these two or these three associated features. So this is the right bundle branch block. Let us see in ECG. Now see V1 RSR dash, RSR dash in V2, and in V6 you see a widened S wave. So this is the pattern of right bundle branch block, and along with this T wave inversion in V1, V2. So this is the exact pattern of right or exact ECG of right bundle branch block. Now the significance of right bundle branch block. Normal finding. Do not worry if you find it. It could be a normal variant or any condition which affects the right side of the heart, like ASD, core pulmonary stenosis, or chronic degenerative conditions in conductive system like in aged people, or if it appears after coronary artery bypass grafting, no worry, no significance. Now the left bundle branch block. For left bundle branch block, remember M pattern. Now in V1 you will be seeing opposite M, that is W pattern and dominant S wave. So it will be something like this. See, opposite M and dominant S wave. In V6 you will be seeing M pattern. This is the M pattern. T wave inversion in left side chest leads, V5, V6. It is again two type, complete and incomplete, and same criteria, QRS more than 0.12 second in complete left bundle branch block, and in incomplete left bundle branch block QRS will be 0.1 to 0.12 seconds. Now this is the ECG. Let us see V1. We have the P wave biphasic, R S wave, T wave. Now see the slurred S or slurred negative deflection. So it could be a slurred or it could be a typically W shape. So in V1 we are seeing a slurring of the S wave, in V2 we are seeing the slurring, and in V6 we are seeing a M pattern. So this is the ECG. V1 we are seeing a opposite M or W pattern, and in V6 we are seeing a M pattern, and T wave inversion in left side chest lead, that is in V6. And also there will be poor R wave progression. It could be an associated feature. So this is the ECG of left bundle branch block. Now significance is, whenever left bundle branch block is present or it's seen in ECG, do not consider it as normal. Right bundle branch block can be normal, but left bundle branch block is associated with organic heart disease, associated with hypertension, with valvular defects, that is especially of the aortic valve defects, coronary artery defects, left ventricular hypertrophy, degenerative changes in conducting system of the heart in aged people, and it is rarely normal. Okay, it is mostly abnormal. Now hemiblocks. Hemiblocks is blockage in any of the branch of the left bundle branch. So left anterior hemiblock or left posterior hemiblock, or known as left fascicular block, left anterior fascicular block, left posterior fascicular block, and it is characterized only by change in the axis of the heart. So whenever you see any changes in the normal axis of the heart, either it is extreme left sides, or you can say not, it is abnormal, like more than -30, that is left side, and more than +100 or +90, that is right axis deviation. So if you find this finding of axis deviation with no other abnormal signs in ECG related to any disease, consider hemiblock. For this you need to understand this trihexaaxial diagram, which I have discussed many times. Now this is the left axis deviation, -30. If you see an ECG pattern which is showing beyond -30 degree or +100 degree beyond, that is left axis or right axis deviation, without any other abnormal signs of any disease or any abnormal signs in the ECG, consider fascicular block. Now left anterior fascicular block, it is common but not significant. So it is more common than left posterior fascicular block, but not significant. QRS will be more than -45, so it will be on left axis deviation, -30 here, so it will be more than -45, and QRS width will be less than 0.12 second. Now how will you find out the axis deviation? For this you need to go through my lecture 5 regarding the heart rate and axis. So let us have a small revision for that. In case of left anterior fascicular, QRS is -45. So what kind of ECG you will be seeing? It is beyond this. So you will be seeing, like in lead 3 you will be seeing typically negative S wave or typically negative pattern. In lead 1 you will be seeing a positive pattern. In AVL you will be seeing a dominant R wave. In AVF you will see the negative deflection more as compared to the positive, and AVR again typically negative. So in these leads, lead 3, in lead AVL, lead 1 you will be seeing a dominant R waves, and in lead 3 you will be seeing the dominant S wave, and AVF, in AVF also you will be seeing a dominant S wave as compared to the R wave. So it will be left axis deviation. In left posterior fascicular block, QRS is more than 120 degree, +120, and QRS width less than 0.12 second. So here ECG will be like, in lead 3 you will be seeing more positive deviation. In lead 1 you will be seeing negative deflection. In AVL there will be a negative deflection. AVR could be more toward positive, and so this is the way, and so these will show negative aspects more, and this will show the more positive. Lead 3 and AVL will show more positive dominating ECG, and AVL N1 will show negative ECG. So this is the way you can go with the left anterior fascicular block and left posterior fascicular blocks. So thank you so much. Have a nice day. Revise all the chapters, then only you will be able to understand the further topics. So for the understanding of axis, go through lecture 5. Thank you so much. Bye bye.